Hello, good people of St. Martin, and welcome to the Integrity Chamber's video series, Integrity in Voting. I'm your host, Kevin James, and today we're going to discuss the role of the Electoral Council in the election process. To give us some more insight into this subject matter, I have with me here today the chairman of the Electoral Council, attorney by profession, Mr. Richard Gibson Jr. Mr. Gibson, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And so the first question I want to ask you, Mr. Gibson, why do you think voting is important?
Well, I think voting is very important. First of all, throughout history, many persons, have fought for the right to vote.
Right.
And fortunately, that is not something that we have to go through. So from that point of view, you should cherish the right to vote. Many people usually say, yeah, but my vote is just one vote in many thousands of votes, so, why bother? It doesn't matter. But as a citizen, it's important to exercise that right because you can exert influence with your vote, especially in a small community as St. Martin. It's not a big country where you have millions of voters, so your vote actually carries a heavier weight than in an average size country. And with voting, you also have the possibility to influence government policies and influence who plays an important role to determine what we pay on taxes, education, healthcare, and generally how society is organized and governed. So I think it's important, and you should exercise your right to vote.
Indeed, you make some very good points there. And so let's dive right in. What is the role of the Electoral Council in the election process?
Well, the role of the Electoral Council is, I wouldn't say it's limited to the election process, but it's much broader.
Okay.
The first task of the Electoral Council is to maintain a register of political parties. So only political parties that are registered with the Electoral Council can take part in the elections. Another important role of the Electoral Council is to ensure transparency within the political parties and also the democratic process within the political parties. By law, it's required of a political party to be formally organized as an association, so that means they would have to be incorporated via a notarial deed, and there are requirements in the law that the deed has to comply with. Another important aspect for the Electoral Council is the supervision of the financial administration and reporting of the political parties and political candidates as well. Every year before February, political parties must report the gifts that they have received in the preceding year. They have to keep a chronological register of gifts that they receive. And the candidates are required to do that as well. Yeah. And also before the 1st of April, political parties are also required to submit their annual financial accounts to the Electoral Council. And once those accounts are submitted, they are forwarded to the SOAB, Stichting Overheidsaccountants Bureau, and they would then advise the Electoral Council on the reporting. In the past, that role was fulfilled by the General Audit Chamber, but I believe in September of last year, the law was changed because the task of the General Audit Chamber is to supervise public funds. And the funding that political parties receive are not considered to be public funds. So that's why it was taken out of the hands of the General Audit Chamber. And SOAB would play that role.
Okay, very informative. Thank you for that. And so the next question that I had for you is, how does the Electoral Council uphold the integrity of political parties?
Well, yes. So that is done also via the process that I just described, namely via the reporting of the gifts and the donations that they receive. For example, political parties and candidates are not allowed to receive cash gifts above 5,000 guilders.
Okay.
It would have to be then via bank transfer. So then you can then be easier to track.
Right.
In addition, it's limited. I believe a political candidate cannot receive more than 20,000 guilders per year from one donor. And political parties also cannot receive more than 30,000 guilders per year from one single donor. And also, it's maximized in the sense that one single donor cannot donate more than 50,000 guilders, whether it's to the party in general or the candidate combined.
Combined.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, and then with the financial reporting, the Electoral Council will then review that to, ensure that the donations that are received are not exorbitant. Because it will not be beneficial to have a donor that has donated such a significant amount to a political party that one particular donor would have leverage over the party to more or less control policies and so forth. So it's a tool to ensure transparency, integrity, and also to avoid conflict of interest situations.
Thank you for informing us about that. And just one more question that I had for you. Is there a criteria for becoming a political candidate?
There are no strict criteria. It's, being a candidate, it's a very fundamental right. So if you have the Dutch nationality and you are a citizen and resident of Sint Maarten, and you have not been excluded from the right to vote, by committing a crime or what have you, then you are eligible to become a candidate for for Parliament. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson, for taking the time to share with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to the people of St. Martin, we do hope this conversation was beneficial to you, and thank you for supporting us on our mission to build integrity for future generations. Stay tuned for the next video in our series, Integrity in Voting.